Hi, and thank you for joining me on another episode of the Tech Exec podcast, where we triple impact per engineer. As always, I'm your host, Aviv Ben-Yosef, advisor and consultant to tech executives worldwide, and our subject today is manifesting values. Before we get to that, let me remind you, I've opened the doors to the Leading Edge Club, a closed community for executives throughout the world, whether you're a CTO, CEO, CPO, COO, VP. We've got all of those in the community already. More than 60 people are in from lots of countries. I'd love to see you there. It's free right now, so check out the link in the show notes to fill out the application form, and I'd love to have a chat with you there. Now, on to the show. Manifesting values. So it just so happens that I've visited several Apple stores over the past few months. When I did it in genuine Apple stores in the States and in Europe, you could tell that many of the employees there on the floor didn't really understand the Apple products all the way. I'm not talking about the experts, but the people just going around. But they had the service mentality. They really cared. They tried to help. When we asked for things that weren't trivial for them, they tried to find a way to solve it, etc., which isn't great. However, I just had to go to the Israeli equivalent of the Apple Store because we don't have an Apple Store. We have an authorized blah blah thingy. And wow, what a difference. You can see they literally stacked 4 or 5 MacBooks, one on top of another, open because they had VPN issues and they were just swapping them in and out. And anyone that cares about Apple products sees that and you cringe because you're like, come on, that can't be good for the devices. Why are you doing that? And you could tell they don't really care about them. They're just using them because that's what the store does. I'm guessing they like the iPhones, but you can tell they don't care about the actual products that they were given. They had no respect for them. And my intention isn't to come across as, old man yelling at clown thing. But when I see that, and when I see the stark difference between real Apple employees and people there, what it tells me is that you can never know what your people are going to be doing when you're at the door, but you can trust that they are not likely to get higher than the bar you set. So Apple sets a bar when it comes to service, and I think they nail it, but this local provider definitely does not. And if I were Apple, I would try and get some sort of a service quality bar within what it takes to become a licensed provider, authorized, whatever. Now, how does this relate to you? When you think about your team, always consider the fact that whatever you have, you have guidelines, you have rules, that's nice, even though we all know that guidelines are not strictly adhered to. And what you have to do is to set a very clear bar when it comes to your values and how they manifest. How your values are used by the management team, by the leaders to decide what are we doing, where are we going, what types of tasks are we taking, what types of feedback are we providing, what opportunities are we saying no to, and what opportunities we're deciding to just go for, even if it means changing the quarter plans or whatever. If people see that your values don't matter, that you don't live by them, you can bet they're not going to get anywhere near following them. And they're going to become what's known as a dead letter. You don't want to go there. You want to really manifest your values. And only after you do that, and only after your management team does that, can you expect the rest of your people to do the same. So start thinking, how have your values translated into real decisions in the past month? And if you have no clear ideas coming up to you, then you're not using your values. And if you have some examples, then consider how clear is it to the average IC in your company that and that decision had whatever to do with value X. Are you making that transparent? Are you relaying that information to them? If you don't convey how their values are used, people will assume they are not. And you have to push for it, even if it feels cooperate. I do believe that if you already had taken the time to come up with values, you have to make sure that they're not being ignored, because then you're taking a major hit to your organizational trust. That's it for this week. Thank you for joining me. If you haven't yet, subscribe to my newsletter. It's the best newsletter online for tech execs. And again, I'm waiting to see you in the club. Link in the show notes. Thank you. Talk soon.